Hey guys, and welcome back to another React video. Today we have Inside Star Citizen 2 and Fro with cargo. Maybe they spelled from wrong? I don't know. But either way, this will fit in really nicely with the economy themed React videos I've been doing and the podcast I did with Bergs, how we were kind of complaining about how the game lacks purpose, it lacks progression, and the economy is next to non-existent. If there was any complaint I had about the game, it's just how non-existent the economy is. So I really wish that they would pay closer attention to it. And I hear this IC clearly is about cargo hauling, yeah, which I think is just has massive potential because it's the lifeblood of an ecosystem or an open world MMO. You've got security tied into it, bounty, the law system, piracy, you know, organizations, the economy, trade in general, moving equipment from A to B, just so much logistics, so much intersecting gameplay loops. So I really hope that they nail this type of gameplay loop. Yeah. So let's get into it.
Cargo sits at the very heart of the non-combat Star Citizen experience, and as it continues to evolve in the upcoming Alpha 3.23 and beyond, its next major evolution is less about the places you'll go and more about the ones you'll start and come back to. Now, hangars, whether they're persistent, instanced, personal, or staging, make up the next frontier of cargo gameplay.
I'll tell you what, man, I love Jared. I think Jared is so good at his job, yeah? Like Jared.
And we went to Chad and his team for an early look at where they're going and how they're progressing. Let's find out more.
Cool music in the background.
So yeah, we've had a couple ISCs before to talk.
Yeah, so this is cool. If Chad's looking after cargo hauling, then we're in good hands, I think. So great.
Talk about the new cargo and hangars features coming, but now that we're here and about to release things, we want to talk a bit about how that impacts your play experience, even if you don't care at all about cargo.
Okay, so it is to and fro. I've never heard of that saying, but I don't know. Fair enough.
So let's start with persistent hangars. What are they and what does that mean? So a persistent hangar is an instance hangar that is going to be assigned to you whenever you select your home location when logging into the game for the first time for a patch. When that happens, what we do is we determine the largest ship that you have and then entitle to you a persistent hangar that's of the size needed to facilitate that ship. Whenever you go into that hangar into the game, that hangar at your home location is always your hangar, and you'll be able to use it like your home. You'll be able to keep things in the hangar, you'll be able to leave things around, you can invite friends in, you can treat it like your own little oasis. So let's talk about for these personal hangars, how do you actually get into them?
See, this is interesting to me. Like, it's probably using the same tech that they're doing the sharding with. But does this mean that when the hangar door opens, that hangar then joins the persistent universe, or is it still separate and then you just see a ship teleport out of it, like with a player? Because that would kind of suck. But interesting. I guess they're going to go through it. Please proceed to side landing. Like the new Moby Glass
You can make a request via ATC for landing. And when we do that, we'll check to see if you have any personal hangars entitled to you. You'll be able to enter in using largely the same methodology that you do now, land, and then you can just hang out in there. As far as what can you
Look, it's Moist Noodle.
actually do with your personal hangar and what kinds of things can you decorate with it, what we're going to do is allow you to call anything in your inventory up via that freight elevator. You can pick it up off the freight elevator either with your hands or using the tractor beam and just strew it about your location however you pick.
Also in the hangars, you'll notice several new kiosks. We have the freight elevator kiosk, which has a brand new UI and inventory system to deal with large volumes of cargo.
you're going to have on the left-hand side a section that is showing the contents of the platform itself. And on the right-hand side, similar inventory layout with all your armor and weapons and items.
And then you decide what you want to spawn in the freight elevator.
I'll tell you one thing about the UI. Like, I really appreciate in Escape from Tarkov and EVE Online how simplistic the UI is. Like, it's not trying to be fancy. It's not trying to have radial dials or anything. It's just trying to make sense as neatly and as quickly as possible. Like, readability is so important on those games, and it's just so easy to navigate. I find that at Star Citizen, maybe they try to overdo the UI and by dressing it up too much, and to the point that it doesn't feel practical to use. It's just something I appreciate about those games.
Freight elevator then comes up, and then you can start doing like loading and unloading of various cargo into your ship and so on.
Okay.
If you're considerate about how you're loading things and you're trying to optimize your loading times, it'll give you a lot of power as far as, for example, making sure that certain kinds of things are front-loaded on the platform to make your multi-crew loading as streamlined as possible. And anything that's in your inventory, you're going to be able to call up. Some things you might have to put into an inventory container box. We're talking 8, 16, 24, even 32 SU size container boxes that you can put large items in. Now you can raise that up on the platform, including in collections, transfer that very quickly onto your ship,
Oh, wow.
and then take them to another location.
So cool.
In your personal hangar, you'll also have access to several other kiosks, starting with the item bank.
which are
I love the idea of logistics like this, but the problem is that this needs to be the mandatory way of like moving things around, right? I don't like the idea that players just get their armor sets, their weapons, everything they need so easily, and you can transfer it around so easily, because if it's a monumental task to do stuff like this, then it means that players in the community are justified in like that profession, right? So like, I love the idea of, say, like your organization is going to move from staging at point A to point B, actually employing or using logistics-based org members or a logistics organization that you're relying upon to transfer your equipment. And for that to be a specialization or a route, a career path for a player is the coolest thing ever. But if it's too easy to do, then we all do it ourselves and nobody cares. So I like the idea. It's like, let players do it for other players. Let it be a large task like they're describing, I think. And that'd be great. But if we're just, buying armor sets, weapons at different locations, and there's just no reason to do these logistics because the economy is so easy, then dorky, I think. But I love the idea of this. I just want it to be justified in its existence and a profession or a way to play this game that people can really go down.
another form of
Like, punish players for trying to move cargo around in small ships. Don't let players extract with loot from bunkers just in a light fighter. Like, make that little cargo bay in the light fighter, like the Gladius, really small, so that people actually need to do logistics. Say you go into a UGF. If people are flying away with a bunch of loot and Gladiuses, then I think it's failed its purpose. But if you need to bring like a couple Gladiuses and then a Caterpillar for to take the actual loot out, then that's great, I think. I just want them to be justified. I want this loot to be mandatory to use almost.
kiosk, which you could almost consider like a small freight elevator in a way, in that you can retrieve personal items such as clothing, armor, and weapons.
Because the item that's being delivered will be delivered in a tray that's in the same machine. So you interact that kind of like you interact with a loot box and you get that out. So no other player can actually physically get anything from your local inventory.
And these item banks can be found not just within the hangars, but also the wider location, such as your hubs and other key areas of a location to retrieve your personal items.
Since you can't interact with your inventory anymore at any given time, it means like we need to have enough item banks around each location so you don't block each other from accessing a terminal, right?
It's just a quicker way to get a quick gun or a few meta pins or your armor without having to load it up from the freight elevator.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that makes sense. Totally fine with that.
And the last kiosk that I want
Good,
to talk
that's
about
great.
is the ASOP terminal.
Oh, okay.
which we have positioned in the hangar so you can request your
Oh, so you go into your hangar and then you call your ship from inside there. Okay.
ships from within the hangar and not just the spaceport.
So they will still remain in the spaceport. So if you don't have a personal hangar in your location, you can request your ship also from there.
Okay.
What we're doing is we're changing the way that the ships spawn in the game.
You can now
So I hope that personalized, like any account only has one personalized hangar. Like World of Warcraft, where you set like your Hearthstone, like this is your home base where you are staging from. That should be the personal hangar, in my opinion. You shouldn't just get one for free at every planet and stuff. Hopefully that's not the case. I'm sure it isn't.
request your ships from within the hangar and they will appear to you. But they won't just come out of thin air. What happens is the whole of the floor will open up.
You get this like amazing view of the hangar, the lights dim, the doors open.
And the landing platform will be rising up towards you and your ship will be there.
We try to balance it in
Yo, that's sick. This is great. That's so cool.
a way that it doesn't take too much time for you, but also that it feels like it has the right weight to it, but also you don't have to wait for it too long.
So now you have a seamless transition and a realistic way of storing your ships away.
Additionally, you can do clever things like call up a smaller vehicle, such as a ground vehicle, drive it off, and then call up a larger vehicle. Then you'll have access to your ground vehicles without having to go to another location. You'll be able to call up multiple ships.
Yo, this looks so good. That's sick.
And maybe have one person fly off with one ship, call another one.
Dude, what is this 323 patch? Like, are we allowed to call it the God patch now? Like, things are getting ridiculous, man. This is so cool. Well done.
Have another person in your party fly up with another ship. Or you can just call up a ship,
sick.
change your mind, and then call up a different ship without having to leave or anything like that. It gives you a lot of flexibility. And I can already tell what some of you are thinking right now. We're not going to let the system like eat your body and store it into the inventory or anything like that. We'll make sure to account for that such that if there's a blocking change that happens, we'll stop the process, go back up to the default state, and then tell the player about the issue so that they can account for it. If you do want to jump into the platform just before it closes and fall to your death, you can fall to your death if you want to.
So this is really cool and we're really happy to get this in. It's been discussed for some years now and it's been a very tricky thing to fit in and certain tech's required to be able to do it. You'd be able to have this hangar your own space and call your own ships and do a lot more within the hangar now.
Now that we're adding all of this new facility to the hangars in the game, allowing them to be persistent, adding these freight elevators, adding this ship platform, there's a lot of more things that we have to have in these hangars for them to be useful for what we're adding.
So the hangar sizes had to increase quite a bit. We did not want to do that originally in the beginning, but soon when we did prototyping, we figured out that not all the hangars, as I said, like the low-tech hangars in particular, are quite old by this point. Not all of them were to the same standards or metrics. So we figured that with the landing pad now going down, you had this gap for like quite some time before the doors close. So there was a very narrow walkway for the player sometimes. So we had to rejig some things and made it actually larger.
So the large and XL have had significant size changes. So the XL is about 20% larger and the large is about 30% larger. So certain ships that were a little tight can now fit a lot more easily.
So you don't feel like your wings almost scratch the walls of it. So it feels a bit more natural and better to the play experience to land in your hangar now.
The medium is the same, but taller. And the small has not been changed. But we have classified ships to fit into the medium that were once classified as small. So hopefully a much better player experience than there has been before. And it's been interesting to take the design.
Man, I hope, okay, so if you have a personalized hangar, I hope there's upkeep. I don't know why I didn't think about this now, but like, don't give us personalized hangers for free. We should rent them. Like, it should be a constant monthly cost of UEC. And if you don't pay the bill for 2 months, bang, you're evicted. Like, tie this into the economy heavily. Give us some more maintenance.
Line of a elevator and the door, and
I'm going to be really disappointed if it's for free.
extrapolate that across multiple sizes. So in some cases you can kind of widen out the door and use the same shapes, and in some cases you need to think really about how those shapes work, and sometimes they don't work within a small door, for example, when it did work in a much wider door. So we've had to play around with that and keep them looking consistent with each other, but also adapt those shapes to work for each size.
So this is an actualization of a long-term goal for this entire cargo career, to make the whole thing feel more real. It means that the whole experience is going to allow for manual loading. It'll also feel more rewarding because it'll give you more interesting choices to make throughout the process. It'll make multi-crewing a more interesting and useful experience. It's going to just make the whole experience a more skill-intensive and interesting and tactile.
Man, love it. Love the idea of all of this.
Another thing that we've talked about is automated loading in the games. This allows you to still do commodity trading without needing to actually move the boxes yourself. It will be an option in the commodity terminal. Whenever you go and you pick the destination inventory, you'll be confronted with several options. One is the location inventory. The next will be all your ships that are at the location. If you choose a ship, you'll have the option to have it be automatically unloaded.
Okay, do they pass the economy game test? If you get it auto-loaded, does it cost you? Let's see if they are based or not.
Or loaded for you, of course, with an added cost.
Yeah, here we go. Yes, boys, we're there. They're getting it. They're starting to get it. Oh, man, I'm so proud. Chad based as all hell, always. We love Chad. Chad's done nothing but good things for the game. But yeah, man, I'm glad that they did that. Hopefully it's a significant price, not too much, but balanced.
It has to be stored to allow for the transfer, and it will be time locked while that transfer is occurring. Different locations in the game will have different amounts of time.
Cool.
Places that are more
Yeah, I love this.
optimized for trade are going to allow for faster transfer. You'll be able to still do the trading. You just have to wait a little bit and pay a bit more money, so your profits won't be quite as good in that case. Once the automatic loading process is finished, you can just go to the ASOP terminal in the hangar, access it, raise it, and go off, and you're on your way. If you care about cargo, this is going to be transformational. But even if you're not interested in cargo at all, it's still a foundational change for the game that fundamentally changes principles about inventory, physicality, and your play experience.
The work's ongoing. We're nearly there. I think the team's done a great job on this. It's been tricky to get it working as it should be.
It's a big milestone for the game that's been years in the making and coming. While I'm here to talk about it today, there's been a large number of teams across the entire company that have helped. Everybody from art, animation, VFX, through to all of the gameplay teams, engine teams. We've had a huge effort from Austin, Montreal, Los Angeles, Frankfurt, Manchester. It's been a big endeavor. So I want to thank everyone that's been helping to see this vision through, and I'm really looking forward to getting this into your hands so that you can play with it.
Dude, so cool. So good. Man, like 10 out of 10. That's awesome. What did we learn this week?
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the days of big ships scraping by the edges of player hangars are almost behind us. That you'll soon be able to spawn your ships and have them rise up directly into these newly expanded hangars. And that the freight elevators and item banks within will herald a new future of physicalized cargo loading that should have long-reaching ramifications for life in the verse. And of course, while everything you see on ISC is always an early work in progress, Because of the dramatic and far-reaching effects these systems will have on all life in the verse, you can expect this work will continue to iterate and evolve from what you've just seen between now and its upcoming targeted release in Alpha 3.23. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you, and we'll see you all here next week. Hi. We had a meme image for the end of the show. It's been our thing this season. This week's was a little too hot for TV. So we're gonna put this week's image in your hands. I'm gonna give you a frame and you put whatever you want on here.
Oh, this is ballsy.
And here's my face, knowing this is a bad idea. That's a mistake. It's a mistake. It's a mistake. It's a mistake.
Yo, Jared's so great. Yeah, I fucking love Jared. Okay, so man, super impressive. Like really cool. Hopefully it's smooth. Hopefully it doesn't hinder server performance too much. But man, top to bottom, extremely cool. You know, I've been playing for 6 or 7 years now, and the hangar experience has always just been the hangar experience. So to see it completely revolutionized is extremely cool. To see them actually thinking about the economic consequences or ramifications of like using the auto loading options and trying to balance that with actually loading it itself is just super cool, really based. My only concern, okay, my only issue with trading as a whole is the economy, right? When you go loot, you know, 100 boxes of Widow and you've looted 10 armor sets from a UGF, for example, it means nothing because the economy means nothing. Like having a full armor suit of heavy armor means nothing. And like, I want it to mean something, right? To be like, damn, like this, I want to like run into players like inside of stations and be like, damn, look at that guy's gear. Like he's like juiced. This guy's got crazy heavy armor with crazy good guns, all these attachments, for it to be a big deal, and like they're invested, rather than, you know, I go to Orison right now, I have probably 40 armor sets, don't care about any of them, 100 weapons, don't care about any of them. I've got all the subscriber items that don't really mean anything. Maybe now they'll be able to decorate them in a hangar, but there's no meaning to any of it. And I think it's the same with the cargo hauling. Like, it's not a big deal that this guy brought 100 boxes of Widow from A to B. It's not a big deal because it's just so frequent. There's too much of everything. So I think with more maintenance up costs, you know, like owning a large hangar should cost a large amount of UEC, monthly, weekly, whatever you want to call it. Owning a hangar is a big deal, you know, and where you have your hangar, the price of renting that hangar is increased, right? Like maybe having it at ArtCorp is very costly, Microtech is very costly, but having it at a less popular station, maybe the rent is a lot less. I really want economic maintenance, upkeep, consequences, and all that jazz to doing all of this, and I want the economy to mean something, so that when you see, you know, a Caterpillar, for example, hauling a ton of stuff, it's a huge deal rather than just your everyday stuff, you know, like just the economy is what we need to work on, I think. And I really look forward to that team's work more than anything. So yeah, that's my take. This is awesome. I give this ISC a 10 out of 10. I actually enjoyed this the most of all the ICs this year. I'm very happy with it. That was really, really cool. And excited for you guys. If you guys are cargo haulers, tell me what you think. This is your loop more than it has been mine. Are you guys happy with this? What do you guys think? And let me know in the comments. I really want to read it, what you guys took from this. Also, give me a 1, 2, 3 in the goddamn section if you're a real one, okay? In the comments, 1, 2, 3, okay? Alright, boys. GG's. I appreciate you all. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time, yeah? Peace.